aqui posto de comando do movimento das Forças Armadas. As Forças Armadas portuguesas apelam para todos os habitantes da cidade de Lisboa no sentido de recolherem as suas casas, nas quais se devem conservar com a máxima calma. Esperamos sinceramente que a gravidade da hora que vivemos não seja tristemente assinalada por qualquer acidente pessoal, para o que apelamos para o bom senso dos comandos das forças militarizadas, no sentido de serem evitados quaisquer confrontos com as Forças Armadas. Tal confronto, além de desnecessário, só poderia conduzir a sérios prejuízos individuais que enlutariam e criariam divisões entre os portugueses, o que há que evitar a todo custo. Não obstante a expressa preocupação de não fazer correr a mínima gota de sangue de qualquer português, apelamos para o espírito cívico e profissional da classe médica, esperando a sua ocorrência aos hospitais, a fim de prestar eventual colaboração, que seja, aliás que seja, sinceramente desnecessária.
Sim, é o poente. Chego à foz vindo da rua da Alfândega, vagaroso e disperso, e ao clarear-me o terreiro do paço vejo nítido o sem-sol do céu ocidental. Há uma grande paz que não tenho, dispersa friamente no ar outonal abstrato. Sofro de não ter o prazer vago de supor que ela existe. Mas na realidade não há paz nem falta de paz. Céu apenas. Vagos tons remotos de cores de nuvens que não são. E tudo isto é uma visão que se extingue no mesmo momento em que é tida. No intervalo entre nada e nada. Ao lado, posto alto, em tonalidades de céu e mágoa, prolixo e indefinido.
What I have in mind is that art may be bad, good or indifferent, but whatever adjective is used, we must call it art. And bad art is still art in the same way that a bad emotion is still an emotion. Therefore, when I refer to art coefficient, it will be understood that I refer not only to great art, but I am trying to describe the subjective mechanism which produce art in the raw state, à l'état brut, bad, good or indifferent. In the creative act, the artist goes from intention to realization through a chain of totally subjective reactions. His struggle toward the realization is a series of efforts, pains, satisfaction, refusal, decisions, which also cannot and must not be fully self-conscious, at least on the aesthetic plane. The result of this struggle is a difference between the intention and its realization, a difference which the artist is not aware of. Consequently, in the chain of reactions accompanying the creative act, a link is missing. This gap, representing the inability of the artist to express fully his intention, this difference between what he intended to realize and did realize is the personal art coefficient contained in the work. In other words, the personal art coefficient is like an arithmetical relation between the unexpressed but intended and the unintentionally expressed. To avoid a misunderstanding, we must remember that this art coefficient is a personal expression of art à l'état brut, that is, still in a raw state, which must be refined as pure sugar from molasses by the spectator.
Drink my wine and put my lips in. On your mouth, so thin and smile, and lean back on your blue rocking over that cushion over there. You have sometimes a peculiar smile which shows of some certainty you bear. As someone who knows everything, who knows everything he wants and gets everything he wants. They are their quiet place. Cigarettes, love. What? They are their quiet place. Going. What? Going? Where are you going? Where are you going? Are you going? When are you coming again? Coming again?
It is
very difficult to talk about something that might be important for me, but it is not important for other people. Could it be my partner, my nephews, my sisters, my friends? This is more an exercise of archivism, of film, record something to, in a few years, for me to remind me a particular time in space of my life that is purely a vanity project, and it's purely for me because the reception is forecast and proved to be nil, zero, which is okay. And all of these comes from a series of personal projects and recordings that I've been making since 2006 that tries to preserve in the shape of sounds and images little bits of my life, like the Chronotopeia project. I just concluded one, but I have ideas for many others. This one encapsulates one moment in time that mainly is December, January and February, December 2013, January and February 2014. But it is a vaster memorabilia, nostalgia and melancholy project. And it's got to do with the things I have been collecting all over these years, since my teenage years, of course. And this appeared mainly by chance, because when I was on holidays in December 2013, I had access to a synthesizer. Wow! And I, being a complete tuberculous, a complete pneumatic, obsolescent thing, I don't know how to play a note, so I recorded a few segments of my hours of playing, and out of it I made, and I recorded in analog equipment, because I didn't have cables to connect my laptop to the synthesizer. So it all came in mono, one channel, and very, very, very avec du bruitage, with lots of noise. So after that, I arrived in London. Once again, I start recording palimpsest things, little fragments, little things, and one day I just start putting them together, and the result is what is part of new. And then when I was in Portugal, I recover a lot of my old vinyl, and among them, from the treasures of 4AD and Factory, there was Portuguese beautiful things, and who knows me knows that I do adore Telect till this day. And to talk about these silly experiences of mine is to talk, and especially to listen to Telect, which I was lucky to see twice in Portugal, in the Penguin Cafe in Porto, and in Lisbon on the Festa do Avante festival of the Communist Party. I think it was in the 80s. Yeah, it was in the 80s, with Paulo Raposo, a pen pal of mine, someone who I used to write or start writing novels by correspondence. memories. That's good. And Paulo took me to the Festa do Avante, and I saw Carlos Paredes, I can't remember the name, Manuel Amar, I can't remember the name of the other guitar player, and of course I wanted to go there to see Telect, and to see Telect live and to feel the music live. It was a unique experience to me, and my favorite recordings of Telect are the ones live, like the album Telephone in Moscow in the 80s as well. Their first album, it was recorded live in Portugal, in the north of Portugal, in a festival, and they have plenty in the Knitting Factory in New York, and they have so much stuff to be lost and found in it that is beautiful. And Telecto is the fathers of my musical thought, Vitor Rua and Jorge Lima Barreto, that is dead by now, late Jorge Lima Barreto. And so much so that the Catalogue of Wonders, I created this album in homage to Jorge Lima Barreto. So it's an old, but really old passion I have. So if someone listens to this new album, yes, it's mainly, above all, a reminiscence on the memories and the lessons and the beauty I've learned and I felt listening and seeing, playing live Telectro.
This is a glass of water, colorless, tasteless. It contains 100 gamma of LSD 25.
You are welcome to Elsinore. Entre nós e as palavras há metal fundente. Entre nós e as palavras há hélices que andam e podem dar-nos morte, violar-nos, tirar do mais fundo de nós o mais útil segredo.
New is infused, as is usual, with poetry, and New Cesarini is one of the tracks on the album. So it is as well homage to Mario Cesarini, the great Portuguese a poet that people usually don't know, but it's still a great influence. So I've done lots of collage with his poems, but this time I decided not to use his voice or his poems, but just to do my own homage. And I found on YouTube these 1950s a little documentary about the effects of LSD on a housewife, and I thought it was very appropriate to use the sample and in a way given the title New Cesarini to the track, to give my personal homage. I think he would be very happy about that.
Yes, everything is one. You have nothing to do with it. I am one with what I am. I can see everything in color. Everything. You have to see the air. You can't believe it. I've never seen infinite beauty in my life. It's like a curtain or a spider web. I wish I could talk in Technicolor. I can't tell you, Father. You can't see it, then you should never know. I'm part of it. Can't you see it? Well, I couldn't possibly tell you. It's here. Can't you feel it?
As I said, this is an album of memories, personal memories, but that can relate to other people, and it's based on repetitive, minimal playing of music, because I can't play a note, and if I play something nice, I do not know how to play that again, because I am obtuse. Anyway, I recorded many tracks, at least 22, and while recording it I was deleting at the same time, because what came out was completely useless. But one of the things that came out very late, just a few days before the release or the mastering of the album, was this A Tree of Courage, which is a particular memory I had. I don't know if I dreamt with it, and then in the morning the dream came out, and it was a real memory, and it's called A Tree of Courage, that I salvage for the track list at last minute. And it's very simple, because it's a very fluffy, nice memory. When I was a little kiddo, always been little, I used to go and play on these abandoned, ruined estate. There was a very big mansion that was abandoned. The riches abandoned this family, and they left. The building collapsed, and it was surrounded by oak trees and pine trees, and one of them was sitting for centuries on a thick bed of moss, and it was hollow, and it was large. 3 or 4 or 5 kids could enter the magic cave, as we call it, and I used to go there, play on my own or with friends, and I used to read The Forest by a Portuguese poet again, Sofia de Melviner Anderson, which book I found in a facsimile edition in Lisbon, and I cried when I saw the cover. Everything was exactly as I remembered. Oh, I remember afterwards. So the memory of the tree that stood for centuries there, and the magic moments I spent there, and the simplicity of the tune, that is almost no tune, and it's not even well played, made me associate these two things. The moss, which I love, it's my favorite word, musgo in Portuguese. So this tune, little tune, a lullaby, it's a remembering, homage as well, to the still standing trees of ancient times, that in my personal case provide me with so much peace, and it was a cocoon. And after all these years, after the ruin around them, they persisted. The persistence of nature and the roughness of nature. Of course, it doesn't exist anymore. The place was bought by industrialists, and they completely fucked it. And now there is a very big, or was a very big factory of cork products, which bosses don't pay the workers or ex-workers for more than 1 year in Portugal. So ruin and nature as a cyclical rota or roots, or to be very sincere, and the very fond memories of that tree collapsed into joy and redemption, and a thing of beauty. So it is a tree of courage. New is about memories, not of places and things and poetry and moments, but of people. And the last track in the album, Phosphorescent, is dedicated to a very dear friend, Maya Edmundson. Our story of friendship goes several years, and musically she collaborated on the production of a double single for the Caliban X 2 years ago, I think, where she done the vocals. And then after that she asked me to make a soundtrack for a short film she directed, acted in, filmed and produced herself, called The Gloom. The soundtrack was never finished, but there are lots of material still in existence. And once again Maya sprang to mind, because even if we don't see each other for weeks and months, when we meet, it's like we just seen each other the day before, and even if we don't speak a lot, because there are other people around or da-di-da, there is a kind of I don't know, I was about to say telepathy, but he's not. And there is a big admiration of that I have for her, and because she is a very dear, peculiar, strange, and astonishingly beautiful, kind, tender person. So Phosphorescent came through my thoughts of Maya and our past and present life together, and is a kind of portrait. But the project of the gloom, the film, was in my mind as well, because though it's a very short film, it could be done in a way where it's monologues, 4 monologues or 5 monologues that Anna acts, each one very different. So I was watching, I think it was The Mother or Grace, you don't know, but you can know actually. Let me show you just a little bit.
Mom, I will call childcare. I had enough of Grace abusing me every time I get home. And let the childcare deal with her because I can't. She went ballistic and gave me a speech. Are you out of your mind? Think about the damage you will bring to our family. Not to mention all the gossip. I wouldn't be able to show my face in town. Not that she goes that much out anyway. You expect too much for yourself. You know, you can't have everything you want in your life. We care for you. We want you to be here. No, take some chocolate, eat, and dry up your tears. They make you look old. Next time, I should tell her that she's only making up these excuses to nag about the future. She can sit there eating chocolate without feeling guilty for her 24-stone body.
This album, or this collection of sounds and melodies, are my own efforts or my own way to relate to the world that I'm living at the moment, and through the things I'm living as well. I'm getting old, and I start looking like my father. I always look like my mother, and especially because I'm unemployed for 4 months. I don't want to be sterile and in a swamp, stagnating and do nothing. That's why I decided, when I'm able to do this or that, to at least try to play a keyboard that I found after a few years. Once again, Maya Edmundson, on her infinite wisdom and beautiful kindness, gave it to me as a Christmas present. So she's always present in my life, whether she's here or not. So I'm unemployed and I have time, and I decided not to get too down, not too depressed, not going to the realm of limbo, which is more a purgatory, if you know what I mean. So I spent lots of weeks without doing anything. I couldn't concentrate to read a book. I couldn't listen to an album in its whole. I couldn't do anything. I was just start going down the drain. So it was a kind of serendipity that I found the keyboard. It was always there, but I didn't notice it. And so I tried. The first times I didn't even record anything because I'm not a musician. I don't want to be a musician, and I don't think I will ever learn how to play music, which is not a bad thing. I wish. But being unemployed and not having money to spend in my idiosyncratic tastes and eclectic tastes as well, and buy books and that I never read. They are on the shelf there to be read. I still have at least 2 dozens of them to read, and I have albums, that CDs and vinyl that I buy and I don't listen, or I didn't listen. So from October 2013 to March, which took to record these 65 minutes of music, it was very, in a puerile way, my own way to achieve something personal, or at least try to achieve something personal. And for the first time I try not to use samples, because all my creativity, music, audio, let's not say music, audio life, I tried not to use samples. Actually only 2 of the tracks on New uses samples. The one I think I spoke already, what's his name, New Cesarini, and then Burning Wheels, that it's one of 2 moving fast tracks, and it started like the other tracks by experimenting and trying to play a melody, which I can't. And then I thought the album is so, shall I use labels, ambient, that I need a contrast. So I used for Burning Wheels some material I recorded in Vitor Hugo's Sardonic studio in Portugal, and then some of the Yamaha DJX 80s synthesizer. Analog sound is amazing. And I use some samples on that, drum samples only, I think, yes, only drum samples, and is in complete contrast with the rest of the album. The other track that is fast-paced is Blast 1. Blast 1 is completely recorded in Portugal in Sardonico's studio, and I had the help of Protiv, that he made a track out of that track that I recorded, and he put it more bass. And Blast 1 is very funny because there are lots of mistakes, and it's about chords and nothing else. It's pseudo techno, but without beats. And it's when I came back to England, I started putting lots of delays and that, so the mistakes are not that perceptible. Sorry. And it took me, actually I didn't want to put it in the album because it was full of samples from voices, especially American preachers and religious people, and I'm so tired of all that bullshit that I thought, I took all of it. And what it is, it's a mono track. I think it's about 12 minutes or something. A mono track that I recorded mono, analog, in Sardonico's Vitor Hugo's studio just after Christmas. And artificially I dubbed the track, the same track, and there is a kind of echoey, delayy stuff. And it's in complete contrast with the album. And once again, that came out of the need, because I found the vinyl. I think I said before, lots of vinyls, and I found Vangelis records that I used to listen a lot in my 80s when I discovered electronic music. And Jean-Michel Jarre, and even Kitaro, no one remembers him. And other strange fellows. Space, do you remember Space? The French band, it was fabulous. And other Portuguese first electronic recordings like Opera Nova, a band I think they just recorded 2 singles or 2 12 inches. So it's a very plain track that is funny. It's funny, and it places me exactly through that time when I discovered Tangerine, Dream. Their soundtracks were amazing. Kraftwerk, it was the first electronic record I ever heard. It was a Radioactività. So And like, because this is a book of memories, album of memories, that makes sense to me to have the track, that track Blast 1. But at the same time it goes against the oldness of the album. And that's it. I don't know what to say.